I'm just going to be honest. I don't even think you utilize your neighborhood enough. I'm just going to call it out.
Okay, I'll take your opinion.
Dying.
Hands up. I almost threw up again, apparently, as I get older.
Up on the plane?
I think it's at the end when they do these turns into LaGuardia and they're
Oh.
just doing huge triple Lutzes in the air. Calm
Did you have
down.
to spin a couple? Like, did you have
Not
to
a few
circle?
times, but I don't know if it was the wind thing, but we did have a hard landing.
But
Now I
like,
dropped my stuff
what's
off.
the
It was cloudy, but it
mm,
was crisp. It felt like it could rain, but it wasn't muggy. It
wearing
felt
a
like I was
jacket and
Timothy
all?
Chalamet in a rainy day in New York, but it
Oh,
wasn't raining yet.
honestly, I love that. I think that's an underrated film.
It's very good. It's
It's
very good.
very good. It's
It's very
very
good.
good.
And I walked around. I went to Empire Szechuan immediately. I texted you from there,
Well, I
and
didn't realize
that was my
you
first
were
stop.
walking
First
by.
stop. First
What was your order at Empire?
Same thing. Agi tofu, wonton soup, no wonton, chicken, black bean special, 10.99 for lunch.
It's
Yeah.
good.
The soup comes with the 10.99 special.
Okay, good deal.
Now, I've been going there for 30 years. Mary's been holding it tight. Yeah, to me, she's really nice. Because you
Shout out
can't
to
write
Mary.
bullshit.
You know what? I don't need somebody to be nice to everybody because then you're nice to nobody. It's fake.
Yeah.
She's a little passive aggressive, this Mary. Welcome to Hustle and Schmear, your weekly dose of wit and wisdom, the podcast where we learn a little, laugh a lot, hustle hard, and of course, complain about it after. I'm your host, Liz Cohen.
I'm your other host, Jason Salstein. Buckle your seatbelt and wrap your tefillin tighter than ever because today on Hustle and Schmear, we've got a guest who's basically lived 9 lives and somehow still has more left in the tank. He's gone from yeshiva boy to Columbia cool guy with a pit stop somewhere between Shabbat and Soho House.
He's been a model, an actor, a director, a mensch, a Mac Miller music video pioneer before Mac fully even blew up. He's made commercials that feel like movies and movies that hit like a Nike ad at halftime.
But most importantly, this man knows that every good shot starts with a strong stance and a little bar mitzvah dancing. Because yes, sometimes surviving Hollywood just means remembering your moves from Cousin Jeffrey's Call to the Torah.
Today we're talking about how to direct your own life like it's a Super Bowl commercial. Crisp, clean, compelling, starring you. All right, please welcome to the Schmear table, the one, the only, Noam Harary.
Thank
So
you.
excited.
Blushing. That was a very kind and crafty setup there. First you
No,
set the
honest-
table, then you make a mess.
Right,
That's right.
exactly.
And then you clean it up at the end.
I'm so excited. First of all, Jason, you don't even know this, but I know him through his sister Neely, who I actually met through work, through another friend. We've known each other now for a long time, but it does feel like I've known her forever. And then Noam, I've kind of seen you a little bit through your journey because I remember going to a Shabbat at your house in LA, and it was your last Shabbat there.
Wow.
I see the bond immediately. You picked up what looks like iced coffee.
I did.
Liz is on her 5th cup of the morning.
Wow, this is on another level. We are kindred spirits.
People who say like, this is how many cups you have. It's not your business.
No, and I never finish a cup, so I feel like, is it really
you
5
don't?
cups? No.
I just like to get it and drink. I like to be in the process of drinking coffee all day.
I agree with you, Noam, because it is more about it's the clinking, it's the going to devotion, that's what I like about it. And yeah, it happens
The
to
tangible aspect. But
yeah, like I need to
besides the 5 things that she's got: a shopping bag in her hand, her handbag, then the coffee.
Yeah, I do carry out. I wish I could be that person who just has everything in one bag. It ain't me. Well, I don't know if it was your last one, but remember it was already like your apartment was cleared out.
Oh,
Pretty
wow.
much.
So probably my last Shabbat.
And I want to say you were moving like kind of shortly after, and you were I think you were even driving back.
I was. I did a
Yeah.
cross-country
Where
road
was this
trip.
Shabbat?
So I had a bungalow, I could call it a bungalow, but it was like LA bungalow. It was,
Well, I already
you know.
feel like we're back on, San Vicente. I'm ready.
Yeah.
No, but he was east.
I was in
east.
Silver Lake.
Oh,
In the
the
Silver
pool
Lake
area.
Coffee. I was a block away from Intelligentsia. I was there.
Yeah, I remember.
You would have found me in Calabasas.
Oh yeah, I forget. We overlapped. I was there too, and then I moved March 2020. So I think I moved back right after you. All right. I feel like we're already getting into it.
Tell
Good.
us about yourself. Noam, who are you?
I've been a guy who's been falling forward into the film industry year by year. I've started in Deal, New Jersey. I'm a half Syrian, half Ashkenazi Jewish boy from
Shout out
yeah,
Syrians.
shout out to the Syrians from from Deal, from the Jersey Shore, and went to college at Columbia. And after that began
Mm.
my very unexpected 9 lives, as you guys said in the intro. I think you spelled it out so well. It really feels like that when I think back at all the places I've been, and even typing to you guys like some of the places, chapters in my life. It's like,
Oh yeah.
these are radically different, but they all led me to where I am right now. And I think it's that Noam is someone who just says yes to adventure, and I think I could say that now. At almost 40 years old, looking back at what got me here, was just saying yes when people are like, "Do you want to try something?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, let's try it."
I love that approach, and I feel like the older we get, it's harder to do that. And I wonder, how do we keep that fresh? How do we continue to say yes to the adventure, even when you're like, my knee hurts? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
I agree. It does get harder. Or, oh, you want to go to this party with a bunch of strangers? I'm like, I don't. That
no,
doesn't sound good at all now. But
exactly.
that is where the fun stuff happens. And I think I
I
try to
know.
trick myself into it and say, okay, but what if you have a great time?
Right.
What if it
I love
is amazing? What if that does lead you to your next travel partner, job, project, film, commercial, or just fun late night?
So
Right.
you
Sometimes
like stability, I see.
Yeah, not exactly.
How did you get into film? Were you always creative? Were you always watching film? What was it like growing in Deal, New Jersey? And is there a lot of Spielbergs out there?
Oh, it's funny you say Spielberg. I have definitely still a chip on my shoulder. I was loving film, wanting to act. I always felt that way as a kid, from 9 years old, doing a play in the JCC where I played Grandpa in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in Deal, New
Oh,
Jersey.
that's a big gig.
Grandpa
Okay.
Joe at 9 years old kind of just spoke to who I was. A little curmudgeonly, but down for the adventure. I think
Right.
that was where it started. And then I got into high school, and I always knew in my mind that I wanted to pursue acting and be in the industry. And I remember my college guidance professor was like, counselor was, let's be real, Spielberg. And I was like, what is that? What do you kind of
That's the opposite of what a counselor should be doing, right?
That's what he said to you? You're no Spielberg?
Oh
like,
my God.
who would be? I'm not claiming to be, but I just remember saying, like, I want to go to an acting conservatory. He's like, why don't you go to apply early decision to Columbia for engineering? And I was like, none of these things are things I said to you, but I was good at physics, but
Oh, okay.
it,
So he was trying to set you up. I'm sure he was in his mind doing the right
it
thing
was.
by pushing you towards the career.
Noam's killing it with the fulcrums. Let's get into Columbia.
I've since forgiven. I'm going to since forgive. But things clearly went in a different direction.
Things happen for a reason. So
The gift.
Sure.
I ended up visiting Columbia, and I visited a few different schools, and I thought to myself, okay, if I'm going to go pursue academia here, at least I'll be in New York, close to where we have a mecca of entertainment. That
Right.
is
Oh,
what
that's
made me
fair.
make that
That's a good
choice.
point. That's a good point. And plus, an Ivy League is not too shabby.
you're in Columbia and you start taking film class, or did you apply for physics, or did you change that route?
I changed that route. I applied for the arts program there just to get a BA, and I got in. I went there. I ended up studying a bunch of philosophy, and they didn't really have a theater major. To be a theater, the theater program was really at Barnard, so I ended up just taking a ton of theater at Barnard.
Barnard all women's though?
Barnard was all women's until 1982. Barnard is all women, but the classes at Columbia cross over, so you could take
Right.
classes at
It's
Columbia.
like a sister school, right?
So I studied there. I knew I wanted to leave Columbia and go and start acting. So I took a lot of classes there while I was getting my degree.
Okay. All right. So you graduated. You're really kind of trying to focus in on film, but you stayed in New York. What was going on?
So I stayed in New York. I graduated with no plan. I mean, like every actor, there's really no guidebook or stepping stones. All my friends were doctors. They all graduated and were
Right.
going to med school, like all of them. So
And what were your parents doing? Like your Jewish parents? Are they like, You just got out of Columbia and you
freaking
want to
out.
do film? Yeah, they were freaking out. Okay.
Freaking out. They were
But you say
not
I want to do film. Have you had any experience? Do you have a reel? Do you have a portfolio? Is there any shorts that you made?
thing. I had like
Wow.
a bunch of plays I was in college, and then the one thing that I guess the linchpin that started this was a friend of mine, Marco. He's a Serbian friend who went to Columbia with me, and he was at the time modeling, and he was like, "You're tall, you can model," and I was like, "That's it."
Serbian model, sign
Sure.
me up.
So my friend Marco, the Serbian model, who is still my best friend till today, one of my closest friends, he was the one to say, try that out. And I ended
Okay.
up trying it out, having some success in it. And I think that walked me into a little bit of how to get into the acting industry in
Yeah,
New
because you're
York.
in front of a camera, you're like meeting the people, all of that.
Yeah, you're going in, you're talking to other people who are acting, who are also modeling. And then
Yeah.
one woman, Cadence, she introduced me to her agent, and then I ended up with an acting agent, and then I ended up in a Subway commercial for $5 foot long.
Oh, get
$5
out.
foot long.
Was that your first one? That's a pretty big break.
That was number one. I guess that was a big break.
Yeah. Was it, I'm assuming not the local in New York,
It
or
was
was
a
it?
national. It was a national
Wow.
one. It helped me get my
SAG
SAG
card?
card.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a biggie.
Are you
I
getting royalties still for it?
I no, not anymore, but I was for a long time. They renewed that for
Wow.
a while. That paid my bills for a couple of years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how many years after college was this, or was that
That must
right
have been like
away?
2 years after college. So
Oh,
2 years from college till my first Subway commercial, I was bartending. I was trying to pick up different small modeling jobs, do some short films with anybody who would let me,
mhm.
and just try to build my reel up and find out how to do it. I thought it was, of course, just gonna happen to me, and so I was doing extra work on the set of Gossip Girl, the original Gossip Girl.
Oh boy. Were you
Liz
like,
and I are always on the stairs at the Met. Who's Serena and who's Blair?
believe it or not, I never got into it. I feel like
Neither
I,
did I
because
actually.
I like missed all the cultural references. But okay, what was the scene? Where were you? Who were you? What were you doing?
I was in a bunch of scenes, but my big scene that also was the second way I got my SAG card was they were looking for dancers, and I was a pretty good dancer. So they said, we need dancers for the Winter Wonderland ballroom scene. And
Okay.
I remember the episode was Jessica Zor walks through the ballroom, and they tricked her and gave her what is a dress that becomes see-through when they shine a light on. So everybody sees her completely naked. That
It's
was
a normal day at the Met these days, so.
Oh my God.
exactly, she was ahead of the times. If you
But at the time, that was like the biggest show on TV. I mean, that was pretty big. So was everyone at home watching you?
I was very cognizant of the fact that everybody gets cut and put on the editing
Oh,
room
right,
floor.
that's
So
true.
I was nervous to tell anybody I'm in this episode, but I did see it, and I catch me. Oh, there I am, spinning someone and dipping someone. There it is.
Your first break was the Subway commercial. Did that lead to other gigs?
Yeah, I'm in New York. I booked that one, which made my agents excited to like put me
Right,
out for more. I ended up
right.
booking the first Starbucks commercial that they ever did, so that was another big break. And so those are the big ones. I did a bunch of other ones, but I think I was booking a lot because I had this big Jufro, and I just looked like cool guy with headphones. That was
Right.
very chic then, like big headphones, and that was a lot of what
The
I would.
cool, right, exactly. Okay. And like, did you have the acting bug already by then? Or like, was it like, is it almost like an endorphin? Like, you need more? You know what I mean? You book one and you're like, oh my God, I can't wait for the next
Tell us how much of a narcissist you are.
one.
Narcissist. I just needed to see myself on screen more and more. No.
I know exactly what you mean.
It's like that energy, like you're like, okay, there's like a momentum here. Like, I must be doing something right, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I think I recognized that I was doing something right and it was working. And I think part of what really fed into this, or part of the web that got me to where I am, was at the time I was going to this casting agency called Impossible Casting. And the guys there were like, hey, you're very friendly with everybody. You're cool. Do you want to intern here? I was like, oh, sure. I didn't think about that. I was just like modeling and acting. I was like, yeah, that sounds good. That can't hurt me. So I said yes to an opportunity, and
Paid or not paid?
it was paid.
Oh,
Yeah, it was paid.
Back in the day, they
That's
didn't
true.
pay internships. It was, oh, we'll give you college credit.
That's so true. It is crazy that there's just this thing called free work and you just call it an internship.
but I don't feel that even when I was an intern, that was allowed, and now it's not really allowed anymore.
I still think no matter what, internships are the most amazing stepping stone for someone who is in college deciding what kind of career they want or if this company might be a good fit for them or not.
No, I totally agree.
Interning, what are you doing at the internship? What are your roles? What are your responsibilities? And who are you networking with?
So day one, they put me in with their casting photographer and said, just help them out processing the models. So I would take their little sheet, help them fill it out, and put them on camera. And then within the first day, the casting photographer was, hey, I got to use the restroom. Do you know how to use a camera? And I took photography in college as like one thing that I was interested in. So I was like, yeah, I absolutely know how to do this. And then that slowly bled into 3 days later. He's like, yeah, actually, I rather do the casting work. You be the photographer. So in 3 days, became the casting photographer at a casting agency. And I was like, this is a job. This is great. And I learned so much about how to audition, how to be in front of the camera, how to talk to clients, what other actors are looking like as they walk in the room, how much they're freaking out, and how little there is to freak out about.
Right.
And so I was reverse psyching myself out. So like,
Right.
okay, you know what? Next time I go into a casting room, realize there's just a bunch of idiots like me behind the camera.
Sorry, I said that's why Liz and I started the podcast. It was like, what's going on here? If these people can do it, we can do it.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
am I really not as good as them? You kind of second guess, self-reflect, and then realize, hopefully, you're better.
Well, it puts it into perspective. When you kind of see it on the other side, you're like, okay, it kind of takes away a little bit of that scariness and that stigma.
You go backstage and you realize it's just a bunch of people pretending to be something on a stage, and that's all it is. I mean, there's talent. You have to show up and do the work, but in terms of the nerves and putting on the show, it's
And they put their fucking
yeah.
foot in one pant leg at a time too. So right?
Yeah, exactly.
You, George Clooney, even you.
You take shits just like me, George.
Yep.
Exactly.
And they don't smell like roses.
Oh boy. So wait.
Not with this many iced coffees.
Yeah, we'll keep that in for sure.
Okay, wait a minute. So this was your moment. To me, this is a bit of a pivotal moment because you've gone from just wanting to be in front of the camera to now maybe falling into it, but kind of having the opportunity to be behind the camera, which I get you were just taking photographs, but it kind of, that sort of gives you a different lens. But I think that's important.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're totally right. It was the moment that I literally stood behind the camera, and
Right.
it was photographs one day and then it was video the next day. And I started to direct the auditions. So I was telling models and actors what to do and how to give better performances, which I didn't even realize would become extremely valuable about 10 years later. But that was what I already started to do. And I really knew how to speak to actors because I know what will get them thinking, get in the right headspace to give a good performance. Because the next day, I'm them. You're right. I'd be casting photographer in the morning, and then I would run out to another audition across town in Chelsea and be in front of the camera.
Oh, wow. That's hard. I would imagine that's hard. Like it's a player coach, right? But that's got to be challenging to do and keep kind of jumping
Did you
back.
ever have a moment where you were thinking, wait, no, I don't want to be the casting director. I want to be the one auditioning for the job, where you were like, oh, do I take the casting director job or do I audition for the job?
That's a great question. It happens all the time. And what I found was I would be in the room as a casting director working, and the client would be there. So for actually one example is for Desigual, this like Spanish.
The clothing
Yes.
brand. Yeah. That's like very colorful.
They were
Mucho color.
Mucho calor.
We were casting
That
for.
seems very hot.
Yeah, that is hot. All right,
We were,
so you were casting for that commercial?
for that commercial, and then by the end of the day, they, having got to know me all day and seeing me direct all these actors, they just went, "What about you?"
Yeah, they're like, we need a Jufro in this commercial. Like, did you still have the look at the
Wait,
time?
what
had
about
the
you to act in it, or what about you to direct it as well?
What about me to act in it? They were like, "How about we just hire you? We saw a lot of people today. We're going to hire a few of them, but for the guy on the bike, let's put you as guy on the bike in this Desigual commercial. Are you comfortable riding a bike in your underwear around Soho?" And I was like,
how many zeros, right?
"How many zeros?"
My God.
And they told me, and it was enough zeros, and so.
So you're in your underwear, you're riding around Soho, and you say, "This is exactly what I want."
I said, this is what my mother would be proud of. I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
she'd think I made it now. I just want to make her proud.
Here's the thing, you're doing it, right? Like you're in the city that everyone wants to be in. You're riding around on your underoos, but you're feeling good about it.
Right.
And you're booking gigs and you're in gigs. I mean,
Because the Jews have schlongs. So, like, when you
Oh
have
my-
a schlong and you're riding around your underwear in Soho and you're getting the cat calls, honk, honk, it's like, yeah, it's exactly what you want to be doing.
I knew that my Ivy League degree was working. Yes, we got the challah from Uri's today.
The
Ooh.
98th, where they charge $800. I've never seen such jacked up prices in my whole entire life.
Really?
It's kind of
But it's good.
Shout out to Ori's. Shout out to Ori's.
Shout out to Uri's.
Okay, so you're still in New York. I want to get to, well, I'm trying to figure, when were we doing bar mitzvah dancing? Is this before or after?
It's simultaneously.
Oh.
You were working as a dancer for bar mitzvahs?
Yes.
Like together, we are platinum gold. We had 12 dancers from platinum gold at our
By
benign.
the way, those dancers were the hype people for these, like, I mean, it was do or die. So wait,
That
What's up
Saturday
with
night.
underoos? Are we Australian? I've never heard this term before. Underoos?
anyway, whatever you want to call them. So
Braves,
wait,
boxers.
yeah, Braves, whatever. Okay, so
Gays really have terms for underwear. Underwear's a big deal in my world, so I'm just letting you know. That's why I'm bringing it up.
well, we might have to do a separate episode on that. Okay, great. So how are you getting involved in that?
I was dating someone at the time, and she said, "Hey, I found this ad. They're looking for dancers for parties, for motivating parties. I'm going to go audition because I need some." She was also an actor, some side hustle. Okay, it's like, sure. Where is it? She was like, "Oh, it's in North Jersey." I'm like, "This sounds sketchy. I'm coming with you." Plus,
Okay.
I was like, don't say no to an opportunity to audition. I'm going to go on audition just because I want audition practice. I just want to constantly put myself in uncomfortable situations and be a performer. So I go out to this warehouse in the middle of New Jersey, and there's probably like 400 dancers auditioning for this weekly work. And they're like, it's a bar mitzvah dancing company. And I didn't even realize until I got there. I was like, I know what this is. I know who these people are. I've seen you people.
Right.
I can't beat these people. Like, this doesn't really check out. But I'm going to audition anyway.
Okay, just for the practice.
It just seemed like a fun thing to do. So I remember seeing this one guy, Darius, on stage. So how they
Already sold.
Yeah. So they had all the dancers who were trying out on the dance floor. Then they had a stage where they put the already hired dancers, part of their staff, to kind of pretend it was a bar mitzvah and hype you up. And then you would eventually get on stage and have to hype up all of these people who are...
To see how you integrate and how you would be performing as if they're the audience and now you're going with the already staff, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So they had the DJ going, DJ Theory. He was spinning, and I see Darius up there, and Darius also had this huge fro.
Okay.
And so maybe that's why I was like, that's my guy.
This is my guy.
And I see him, and he's just got this intense look, big eyes, and he's like, bring it in here. Hands up like this, Spear. Let's go. I was like, just do exactly what that guy did. Just do exactly what that. Make the face, like, engage. Also, that part of it is like theater training, was getting me there. Bring people in, find people in the audience, make them part of your party. And so I got on stage, I got up there, I got hired, and then I was like, well, that's silly.
Out of 400 people who were just out there dancing and trying to rile everyone up, they're like, this guy's got it.
This tall Jew, we need him. It spoke to me. I was like, he's making the party happen, and I could see how it's working. And it was just more saying yes to stuff. I was like, well, it would be funny if I went and worked one of these parties. Forget getting hired. Like, it would be pretty funny if I did it. And I wasn't ever thinking, I'm not thinking that many steps ahead, for better or for worse.
You're just like, let's just do it. I got the opportunity. Why?
How old are you when you're doing this, by the way?
Probably 24. A lot of stuff happened at 24. This is probably one of the, like, I was casting, I was starting to dance, I was acting, I was modeling. So it was all happening after I started dancing. But I went to my first party, and I remember getting up there and meeting some of the other dancers and just trying to follow along. And they understood it was my first time, so they were like helping me. And then I remember my one friend, Jordan Richards, I saw her, she had this long blonde hair, and she was whipping it back and forth. And all the kids were flocking to her. Loving it. And her energy was huge. And I was like, I'm like nervous. How are you doing that? She was like, we're just paid to party. So if you're partying and having a good time, that's going to transfer to these kids and they'll have a good time.
Mm,
Like,
smart.
what am
At the time, I'm curious, did you have a favorite, like modeling, acting, casting, bar mitzvah dancing? What's your favorite, or is it the combination of all of it, but it's
Yeah,
giving
did
you.
you just like to entertain?
That's exactly it. I found that both I was just loving doing stuff. I like the
Mhm.
doing stuff. I like the entertaining, and I like the creation of a set. So I think that's
Mhm.
also like what I was starting to piece together was I like just being a part of it. So I could be in front of the camera, I could be behind the camera, I could be on stage dancing, I could do whatever version of it is a part of like whatever party is happening. It felt really good for me to be a part of. I understood acting is great. That lets me be a part of the party using that talent, but also directing is another fun way for me to be a part, or producing was another fun way for me to be a part of it. And a few months after I got into dancing, I ended up at Sundance Film Festival just as a viewer. I didn't have a film there or anything.
I went to Sundance with Neely. Were you there? I
Oh,
think
I
you were
was
there.
there.
Oh my God.
Wow, look at this, a
Really?
revelation.
Your first time there? Or had you been there before? Maybe it wasn't your first
I'm
time. I
not
remember
sure
you
when.
guys skied.
I'm not. I was there with the same ex that got me into bar mitzvah dancing. We went out
Okay.
to Sundance thinking, well, we'll ski because nobody's skiing during Sundance.
Mhm.
And two, we'll see a bunch of movies. And in my mind, I said, I got to go to Sundance now without a film so that like I'm cool, calm, and collected when I'm there with all of my films.
Right. You don't want it to be your first time when it's like a
Exactly.
big deal. I like it. Okay.
Sleeping premarital sex.
Okay, we don't
That's
talk
exactly
about
right.
these exes. Okay. Shout out to the wifey.
Shout out to the wifey.
Um
So at Sundance, I bumped into
Mhm.
a friend from college, Ian Wolfson.
Mhm.
He was like, "Oh, what are you up to?" And I told him, "I'm acting, I'm modeling, I'm casting, I'm dancing." And he was,
I'm busy.
"I'm,"
Right.
and he was like, "Oh, wow, you do so much stuff. You'd make a great producer." And I
Ooh.
literally was like, "Thanks, man. That's cool of you to say. I don't know what that means. That just sounds like I've heard that word before. That just sounds Jewish. Like you sound like a
Yeah,
producer.
put it together.
You put things together. You make the
Right.
party." So I
Right.
didn't know. That's nice of you. He's like, "Well, no, seriously, I need a producer. I know I need one. I don't really know for what, but I'm a director, and I just met this kid, Malcolm McCormick, and I think he's going to be a huge rapper." And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Okay, sure. So what do you need me to do?" He's like, "I just need someone to put the dancers together and the people together, and we got a shoestring budget. Do you want to try it?" And I was, "Yeah, sure, I'll try that. That sounds fun." And
Right.
so I produced one of the first Mac Miller videos. And
You know it at the like were you there and witnessing, oh, this kid's gonna be something or
you could tell because his moxie, his charisma
Mhm.
was the greatest charisma I've ever witnessed. He had
Mhm.
such talent
I think
and
they call it Riz these
I'm
days.
sorry,
I think the kids
Riz.
are calling it Riz.
It's
I actually
moxie,
think there's
see?
I actually think there's a new word besides Riz.
There's another word
I
after
don't
Riz.
know it, but I think Logan Schneider taught it to me, and now I forget it. And really, I can't keep up with that lingo.
Okay.
I like that
Well, I
Logan
thought I was
Schneider
Riz knowledge.
is a
Okay, so we
teacher.
had some Riz.
Shout out to my best friend's daughter, Logan Schneider, giving me the lowdown on what the slang is these days. Okay.
That's where we're at, guys. This is where we're at.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're
so
supposed to be tastemakers here.
I need a 9-year-old on deck.
I,
Like
I,
I need to be like, hello? Yeah, tell me what that word is again.
I would
Okay, so your first time producing was on a Mac Miller. Oh, most people's first time producing, I'm sure, is not on like a successful.
happened quickly, but at the beginning, I was simply just executing a job. I was just like, I got to do this. This sounds cool. I like the music. The song's great. It
What
was,
was the song? Do you remember the song?
yeah, of course, it was Knock Knock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shooting that and then seeing I mean, this is early YouTube days. So everything was, I mean, it still is, but it was view count. And we're like, this is flying up. This is huge. We shot this
Okay.
for $500. There's no budget here. This is amazing that this is doing
Right.
so well. Let's do another. And
Right.
so within a year's time, we went from $500 budgets where I'm sleeping in his mom's house in Pittsburgh on,
Mac Miller's mom's house?
yeah, at Mac's house. I mean, Mac was living there. He was 16 years
Oh, okay,
old.
got it.
So we were all
Oh
just
my
like
gosh. Okay.
crashing at his mom's house, at like wherever we could sleep, and then shooting videos during the daytime. And so obviously a very grassroots start. And then I remember a year later, we were shutting down Mulholland Drive in LA. We
Wow.
had police escorts. We had a 67 Corvette convertible that he was driving while MTV was filming a behind the scenes about us making the video. And that's when I thought, okay,
Wow.
this is crazy.
Right.
This is
And so
amazing.
so you were basically all working like as a collective almost. Were you still able to do the other jobs and did you move to LA with him, or this was just on a shoot?
This is before he moved to LA. This was just like we flew out for a shoot in that first year. He was still living at his mom's house for a while. And so we went out there. We were just shooting videos. I would travel out to Pittsburgh. We'd shoot a video, and then I'd go back to New York and I'd bar mitzvah dance that week. I would be casting all week. I would audition all week. I was doing everything simultaneously. And that's why, like, age 24 was such a crazy year.
You were making money, obviously, right? As you got more gigs. Did you start to like something more? Did you start to gravitate to something more? Or were you really still dabbling and still exploring?
I have to say, in my 20s, I always was, I'm going to just do this until my acting hits.
So it was really all about in service of continuing your acting.
I loved being on set, so I was like, this is an amazing job. If I'm going to do a side hustle, it's got to be on set. Bartending I was drinking and it wasn't really working. I was waking up, going to an audition, looking terrible. And so that wasn't working out for me. So this was an amazing opportunity for me to be on set, consistently learn about the business, learn about filmmaking, meet great people, and build my network out in New York and LA. So I always thought, okay, I'm going to continue to audition. At 27, I went back to acting conservatory and got more training in New York. Yeah.
Question: can you cry on command?
No, that's hard. I feel like you need to.
I probably could.
Oh, wow.
It's something I've done or trained.
It would be a great skill to have in life, but I don't know. Anyway.
When I'm crying, here's what the Delta representative says. Can you please just you're not group one. You're not group one. Just snorted.
All right, Liz does it every episode. Every episode, there's liquid flying out of her nose.
No, it's bad. It's bad.
What's a Jewish podcast without blowing my nose a little bit?
Right? Exactly right. Okay. We were talking about your love of acting, and everything at that point was still in service of you wanting to kind of better yourself as an actor and be on set, learn the business, but still with acting as your focus.
Yeah. So through my 20s, I danced at bar mitzvahs on the weekend to make money. I produced Mac Miller videos as long as I could. And then I started to transition into producing branded content and commercials. And so that became like a job where I could eventually stop bar mitzvah dancing because that was a job that paid. Because music videos were not really paying the bills.
Really?
The bills were being paid because I was working triple shift bar mitzvah dancing, getting Mrs. Rabinowitz to dance with me on the dance floor, and then getting all those kids to just lose their minds to Rihanna S&M, which always felt weird.
They're like that. No,
regular version or the Britney remix?
Regular version.
Dig, is there any point in time along the way where you're seeing your friends, you mentioned your friends are doctors and whatever they are. Is there a moment in time, anyway, where along your journey where you're like, wait a minute, should I keep going? Or did you never have that?
Am I doing?
Kind of.
They're all becoming doctors and about to make money.
Because it takes a while, by the way.
But I was definitely a lot of times where I'd be like, sometimes I was at these bar mitzvahs and I didn't want to be there. And I'm like loading in equipment and I'm dealing with some shit kid who said something crazy to me. I mean, there's times like that where I'm like, is there a path? I mean, for the first early 20s, you're invincible, everything's fun. And then time starts to be like, okay, how long am I going to do this for?
Right.
Well, you're second guessing yourself and having these moments of, do I stop? What would I do after? I'm doing this. I'm making money. I'm paying the bills and I like it.
Pretty quick turnaround. I think I'd go through that for a day or two and then I would look back and say, okay, but this week, I flew to Pittsburgh. I went to LA. I came back. I was at a millionaire party. I danced with Nicki Minaj. there's no format to this, and there's no routine or consistency, but this is a pretty exciting life. And I remember one of my friends from high school who didn't turn out to be a doctor. He was like, by the way, I know all of your friends are becoming doctors, but that's just not going to be for you. I was like, why do you say that? He's like, well, they're about to do the same thing every day. That's not who you are. Oh, wow. That was a big eye-opening statement for me. I was like, you're right. I would get tripped up doing the same thing every day.
You need the adventure a little bit.
I definitely need the adventure and the change.
Right.
Same here, as most entrepreneurs and creatives do, right? They want some stability, but then when they have stability, they're like, oh my God, this is boring. Get me out of here.
Really?
I die for it now. I would kill for a little routine. But
really? Yeah, because I like a routine.
It's the balance. I think it's about a little bit of routine and a little bit of shaking it up, but there's times where I'll be traveling for months at a time now, and all I think about is getting home to a routine and having something consistent.
Yeah. What was the brand that said, you know what, we're going to take this guy who's making Mac Miller videos?
It was all about continuing to find the work that'll get you more work and be more visible, and that was working. Mac Miller videos definitely got me in front of a lot of people that I wouldn't normally have been in front of. At one point, we were counting; it was billions of views. It was just a huge amount of clicks because he became such a global superstar. And then coincidentally, the way that I got into branded and was another fall forward where someone who was working at Vox Media was making a commercial for PlayStation. His name was Greg Gordon. He was the head of video there. Spoiler, I still work with him today, a very close collaborator and friend. And he needed to replace a producer. And so his producer that was bailing out on this project said, oh, I know a guy for you. I got a great guy. It's Noam. He's going to be great. So Greg called me up and goes, oh, yeah, I heard about you from Holova. This guy said you're amazing. Like, can you do this job? And I was like, oh, of course I can. Again, I've never done a branded commercial before. And I just said, fuck it. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Out of all of the commercials that you've done, what was your favorite?
It's interesting. One of the ones that was really big for me was this Nike campaign. It was with Kyrie Irving. So they were like, this was in COVID, fly to North Dakota, meet Kyrie on a native reservation because he's part native, part indigenous American.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
And you're going to film a Nike commercial with him. This is pre all the shenanigans.
Yeah.
And anti-vaxxing, anti-Semitic shenanigans that came out very shortly thereafter. I flew out to North Dakota. We went out to this reservation. We're filming with kids. We're doing all the stuff in COVID. Everyone had to be tested, double tested. And so we shoot this basketball commercial for Nike. And it was my directing big break, I would say. I was with Kyrie Irving, one of the superstars. We shoot, it's all good. And then I find out days later that he's under the gun for not being vaccinated, being anti-vax, but having told these native reservations that he was tested and he was hanging out no mask in front of all these kids. And so Nike pulled the shoe. They pulled the Kyrie 7. And so then we edited my commercial and then dumped it. And it got shelved. It was part of a five video series. So I still, there were still videos that came out for Nike, which was great for my career. But the one with Kyrie is on a shelf somewhere.
So has it never been released?
It's never been released, but we're going to do it today on this podcast.
I wear the same thing every day. What's this Punakal River Lodge? Tell us about that. So I read his hat, Liz.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't know. I was just going with it.
I saw in your face. You're like, what are you talking about?
I'm looking at my notes. I was like, I don't have a Punakal. Okay, go ahead.
Because I know that Noam decided what he wears today is very important. Every decision he put on today. So the hat is worn for some reason. Let's hear.
Oh, okay.
Jason's right. I do think about when I dress differently when I'm producing or if I'm directing or if I have a Zoom meeting. Of course, I'm thinking about the perception.
You're producing it.
Thank you, by the way, for validating my thought, because I thought Liz was like, what is this guy saying? He's embarrassing me.
A little bit. Like, I forget, this is like the creative mind. Like you guys are, when you're coming to it, you're looking at all of the areas in the corners. And I'm just like.
Or no areas at all.
Yeah. All right. So tell us about it.
So a little over a year ago, Nat Geo called for programming and they wanted YouTube programming for their series called Best of the World. And so two of the places that they wanted to make content was Iceland and Bhutan. So 10 years later, after I met Greg Gordon doing a PlayStation commercial, which started my career in branded content, I ended up with him making this Nat Geo content. So he was the person who put together some of the creative, and I ended up directing this series called Best of the World for National Geographic on YouTube, and we went to Bhutan for 2 weeks. So it was a bucket list location that I never had on my bucket list.
Right.
Um,
Right.
So going from Nike and working with celebrity and athletes to National Geographic,
Which
what's
is that what you're doing now? Yeah, is that what you're doing now? Is that your current phase?
yeah, I'm in a bit of a National Geographic phase. I freelance, so I'm still working on a lot of different things at the same time. I'm in the middle of another Nat Geo series. I'm also producing and directing a series of commercials for Jostens Rings, who make the championship rings for the NBA, NFL, and all
Oh,
those
wow.
companies.
Oh, I know all about it because my other best friend, his dad was the ENT. He had 4 rings or 3 rings. He was a ball boy for the Heat growing up, and this was his life.
I just shot the Miami
Oh,
Heat
wow.
rings the other day.
Oh, this Adam who I've
Yeah,
met. That's cool. Those are huge.
Look at this.
there he is.
Oh my God, wait, let me see gnomes. Which ones are those?
All-
Is
all the
all
Heat.
he?
My wife's
Wow,
from
that's
Miami,
cool.
so I had to rep the Heat. Like, eventually, it made my mom very happy. Married a
Right.
Jewish girl.
So that's how you came back around. You did
Exactly.
the Ivy League, you've gone off to do your own thing and have been very successful in doing so.
I
And then you come back
come
around
back
to the
around.
GVs.
I
Okay.
remember my mom said when I first started modeling, she was just like, "What kind of woman would marry a man who models?" And I was like, honestly, a woman who finds that very funny. It's funny that I did that. It's not a
Right.
real. I'm not
Woman who likes their man to pay the rent.
a. I mean, I was just having a good time. It wasn't like I didn't take myself that seriously.
Right. But that's probably why you were good. You were good at it.
But
I
now
think.
that you're back at National Geographic, is it animals and just watching wildlife and wilderness or people? Because I know National goes a lot into the tribes now, right?
Yeah, this content is much more people focused. It's people doing their thing. How do you travel to Bhutan? How do you get there? Where do you stay? What's it like? Who do you meet? What's the culture, the food?
In a way, it's kind of amazing because you're getting to see the world in a very interesting way. Number one, it's getting paid for, but number two, it's sort of like you're getting to dive in with the local culture and the
Right.
local
But hold up.
energy.
Are you in a hotel? Or are you on a cliff of a mountain freezing in the tent?
So for Bhutan, we were luckily, the idea was the 2 ways to stay in Bhutan. And one of them was at this 5-star resort, Punaka River Lodge.
There we go. And there it comes full circle, everyone.
It's all right.
Big recommend. If you're ever in Bhutan, don't miss. So that was like a place that they were highlighting because it won Best of the World from National Geographic's list.
Oh,
So
got
that was
it.
one way to stay. And then the other way to stay was a homestay, which is a short way to stay would be an Airbnb, but
Okay.
a very involved Airbnb where you meet the host. You're trying to have all your meals with the host. So you stay in their home and you have meals with their family and you eat like completely local and you
Oh,
walk
wow.
around the village. So that was like the 2 ways to stay. And it was hosted by Wampa Zarita, who's this big Latin American celebrity. And so we flew with him. So it kind of connected my work with celebrity life and wanting to travel and explore and be interested in cultures. To get to Bhutan, there are no private jets. It's actually an interesting. It's hard to get to though. You have to be approved by the king to be allowed in.
Whoa.
It-
Wow. So so you have to get an
A visa
high
approved.
intensity visa, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
really intense, and every day you have to pay like a certain rate every day to be there.
But wait, how did you get there? How did you get there?
So
Yeah.
you take enough flights to get yourself to Bangkok, which could be direct, could be maybe 2 flights. I think I had 2 flights to get to Bangkok. And then from Bangkok, you take one plane that lands in Bhutan. It leaves once every other day. So you can't really miss it. You have to nail it, the timing. And I remember getting on the plane and I was traveling with my friend John Chen, who, Liz, I think you've met John too.
Oh wait, no, I have. He's been at one of your Shabbats.
Yeah. Tall Asian guy.
Yeah.
He's a cinematographer I work with all the time, one of my best
Oh,
friends.
okay.
And we were shooting this together. So we get on the plane after traveling for 24 hours on this last plane to get to Bhutan. And we sit down on the plane and John puts his eye mask on. He's out.
The people who fall asleep before the plane takes off drives
Oh
me
no, I'm just thinking the
nuts.
guy with the eye mask, the pressure around my temples, it would kill me.
So he's out. You're like, okay, thanks.
Sitting on the plane, no big deal. I mean, I'm excited to go to Bhutan. I sit down in my seat. We don't sit next to each other. I sit down and I'm just waiting for the plane to take off. And all of a sudden, someone starts walking back on the plane and starts shaking hands with people. And everyone in Bhutanese is murmuring, just excited and murmuring. I don't know what's happening, what's going
Right.
on. But I can feel an energy shift. I'm like, I guess maybe he's a local celeb in Bhutan. Like, uh, cool. So I see him, handsome young guy. And then I'm looking at him. I'm like, that's the king.
The king
That's
is on your
the
flight?
king of Bhutan
Oh
is
my
on the
God.
flight. He just
Oh
walked
wow.
back from first class because I was group five. So I'm group five. I'm back there, but he's coming back to say hello. And he's on the plane. And this is incredible. He's shaking hands of only people who are Bhutanese. So I'm not sticking my hand out. I don't want to be
Right.
weird and get left hanging with the king. So I don't know what else to do, but I go to my phone. I gotta just like tell someone. So I try to text John. He's just completely conked out. I'm like, King's on the plane. So I text two people. I text Greg, who got me this job and is my EP back in New York. And I'm like, the king is on the plane. We landed, and as we pulled up, a red carpet, must be a mile long, rolls up to the plane exactly at the stairs. And the king walks down onto the red carpet, walks away as people bowing to him on the red carpet, and they're rolling the red carpet up behind him. King, king. Wow.
Wow. I love that. Also, like, what an entrance and exit. Like, yes, please. I love
Right?
that.
And humble. Flies commercial.
Yeah.
I'm in the edit right now for another National Geographic show, so we're doing that. It's about little Italy's around the world, which was
Oh, little Italy's around the
Oh my God.
world.
That's don't I can't you gotta tell
What
us
is
when.
it? The Geronimo Festival? The what? What?
No, San Gennaro in New York. That's amazing. So you're going to different, what is it, different states? Is it different countries?
So countries. So we started out in London. We did the Bronx, of course, and then we went to Brazil, to Sao Paulo.
Wow.
Wow, that's actually pretty fascinating. Okay, that's
Yeah, it'll be
exciting.
fun. It'll be out in a few
Yeah.
weeks.
Okay, wow. Okay, excited for that. Honestly,
Amazing,
no, I have to
amazing.
just say, because here's how we came to this episode. I was watching the Knicks game. I was talking to your sister Neely, and I never put it out there. She asked me about the pod, and I don't know why. Obviously, I know you, but she's like, Noam would be great. And I'm like, Noam is literally hustling and smearing his whole life. And I'm like, oh, obviously, we've got to talk to Noam. He is literally the epitome of what we're trying to do here. So, anyway,
I
I'm
got my
glad
second
that you,
screen is edits. I'm gonna be cooking Shabbat tonight for people coming over. I'm
oh
hustling
boy,
and schmearing.
you
Amazing.
are. I
And
love it.
speaking of food, we are going into our Nosh of the Day. Nosh of the Day is a segment where we go around robin and we talk about either recipes that we're actually cooking or a spot that we like or a spot that we want to schmear a little bit. So I'll start it.
Okay.
Today, my Nosh of the Day is Three Guys Restaurant on 76th and Madison Avenue.
Ooh.
The diner offers a diverse menu featuring hearty breakfast, gourmet salads, quinoa bowls, tuna melts. It's a casual setting, posh location, no fuss, and is a go-to for locals, private school moms, celebrities, and more. I always see George Stephanopoulos there, and my favorite is the steak
Oh,
salad. And when I'm in
okay.
the mood for a half a tuna melt and chicken soup with a pickle on the side, you'll find me there.
We had the tuna melt there. It's excellent, I have to
Right.
say. It's very good. Okay, I'm gonna go next. Honestly, I'm just thinking about last night when I went out with my mom. We had a tomat for her birthday. They called it a tomatini. It was like this tomato infused martini at LPM in Brickell.
Le Petit Maison, for those of you that don't know
Petit
what it is.
Maison.
Right.
And it was, whoa, it hit the spot. They do it right. I would definitely go back again and again. Okay, no. What's your nosh of the day?
Today, I'm gonna go local and Gertrude's over on
Oh.
Carlton and I believe it's St. James Place down the street here is
Mm.
a Jewish-ish restaurant that serves everything from a challah burger to a little bit of treif with some oyster platters.
What is trafe? I've never heard of it.
Oh, it's shellfish.
Treif,
Isn't that
non-kosher stuff.
non
Non-kosher.
right?
Yeah, shellfish, you know.
A place that you can get a pickle martini, a gherkin kind of thing, and the drinks are
Ooh.
good, the food's good, and it's on a brownstone street.
Okay, so after Nosh of the Day, Liz will be taking over the segment that we
Oh,
call
yeah.
This or That. Liz,
Yeah.
take it away.
Okay, get ready. Bar mitzvah, hora, or Hollywood rap party?
Or mitzvah hora. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Mac Miller music video or Nike commercial?
Mac Miller music video.
Oh, yeah. Torah study or Final Cut Pro?
Final Cut Pro.
Uh,
I mean, I'm a Premiere guy. Shout out Adobe Premiere if we're talking about sponsors.
Okay, absolutely. Adobe Premiere. Hook it up.
okay.
He needs a whole new setup. A whole new setup.
Columbia Lecture Hall or downtown casting call?
Oh, downtown casting call. Obviously, like Columbia these days.
Rabbi's approval or Rotten Tomato score?
Rabbis are never going to really approve of me, so I'll go Rotten Tomato score.
Okay, nice. Modeling on set or directing behind the camera?
Directing behind the camera.
Oh, acting versus directing behind the camera.
Tougher. That's a tougher choice.
Okay.
It's a
I would say between this or that, directing, acting. Now, directing.
Shabbat dinner or Sundance after party?
Shabbat dinner.
Oh. Okay, LA hustle or New York City grind?
Oh, New York City grind all day.
Yes.
All day.
Would you call it the best coast versus the west coast? Because that's how I refer to it.
I don't say that, but I could. I don't disagree with it.
Thank you. Being discovered or being underestimated?
Being underestimated.
I agree with that. All right, very important. Kosher deli or craft service?
Kosher deli. Craft service is hit or miss. If it's a good one, and I take pride in my craft services. When I have a set and I'm running, if you don't have good craft services, the crew's going to fall off on you. You got to feed the people.
Right. It's super important. Okay, last one. Directing your own life or letting someone else write the script?
Letting somebody else write the script.
No, that's a surprise.
really?
Yeah, because if it's my own life, you need a collaborator, and like you get deep for a moment, it's all about like collaboration and bringing somebody else's artistic perspective. So directors are known to be kind of narcissists, but frankly, the best ones are the ones that are just good at assembling a great crew of people and understand that they're simply the people putting together the party. They're not necessarily the star of it. And to really put your attention on somebody else. So if somebody else is writing my story, I'm probably going to end up with a better result because I'm going to have their whole artistry in addition to whatever I'm bringing to the table.
Wow, great answer.
A different perspective than I expected.
Yeah, that blew me away. Okay, all right, now we're on to Jason.
Now we're on to mitzvah of the day. You know, a mitzvah, a good deed, or something nice to do with someone or for someone. So today, being that you are in the film industry and the entertainment industry, I thought the mitzvah of the day would be to take someone to the movies or set up your own movie night and invite others to partake. Mitzvah of the day.
Mitzvah of the day, I think, is hosting Shabbat. I love Shabbat hosting is a big mitzvah. How Liz and I met was in Shabbats in LA were formative for me as a big mitzvah that really, you do a mitzvah and you end up serving yourself a little bit because hosting Shabbats were the only way that I had a social circle or met anybody in LA. I moved there without knowing anyone, and I literally was like, how do I meet people? And my neighbor was really nice, so I just invited her over for a Shabbat dinner one week.
Okay.
I told her, I cook everything. You don't bring stuff because I didn't want people to feel like, it's a potluck. I have to bring something.
Right.
And the stress and the pressure. What if it's not good? And I don't have time to cook. Maybe I won't show up. So I was like, I cook everything. And then every week I told whoever brought a friend, the next week bring a friend. So it grew into this like 8-person consistent weekly dinner with different people.
Oh, wow.
And that's how it built.
If someone was bringing something to Shabbat, what would you like? Are you taking care of the rugula?
Yeah.
Or do you want someone else to bring some?
Jason, this is how I know you're invited, is you get it. It's bring the rugelach. I'm not baking the rugelach. So bring something I'm not going to bake. Tonight, John Chen, from our friend from Bhutan.
Shout out John. He's definitely in the tribe by association.
His Hebrew name is Yoni Cohen. John Chen, Yoni Cohen, he's been knighted that for years.
Okay, nice.
So he's bringing the babka.
Oh,
chocolate or cinnamon?
Chocolate.
Nice. Okay, classic.
Chocolate.
I love the idea of just going back to how to make friends and like being in a city. I think that's such a great idea. I think people are struggling with that today, like more than ever.
Busy watching us on the computer.
Well, right. But still do that. But I think it's great, like Shabbat or having a dinner. It's such a great way to have everyone connect and kind of like low stakes.
Yeah,
so
it really changed.
Good idea.
It changed my life, changed my LA experience. But I would at the beginning of dinner we would start because it was people I didn't know. We would do like it was corny, but as a kid, I remember like going to Shabbatons and stuff, and they would say, "Roses or thorns? What was your rose of the week? What was your thorn of the week?" And Liz,
Right.
you've been a part of this at my
I have.
Shabbat, and
Yes.
it just sort of opens it up. It loosens people up. Let's talk about a great thing. Let's talk about a kvetch. Like, give us
You're
one.
totally right. You're totally right. It got me nervous in the beginning. I was like, ugh, we got to go around and talk. But then honestly, it does loosen up the table. Like
Break the
everyone
ice.
opens up a little bit.
And you get to connect with people. People are like, oh, you got this problem? I actually know about that. I had that problem. Or
Right.
you had a win in music. I work in music. Like, it just allows everybody to
Mm,
have something basis to connect, because a lot of times I love putting together a Shabbat where people don't really know each other
right.
or loosely have heard of each other. So it's nice to have that kind of schmooze over mezze before the main course comes
Totally.
out. So it changed my life in LA big time, and I think I took it back with me to New York too, to try to set
Hmm.
that up. No phones, not because I'm religious, but because it's tradition. I think
Yeah.
Shabbat's genius. I think it's the social rest that we need.
No, it
Um,
totally was future proof, this concept of Shabbat. It's like, it's almost like it knew that we were going to be in this phase of everyone being so connected online, but so disconnected in person. So I think you're right. I think it's a great way to shut it down for a bit,
totally.
take a break. All right.
This was so fun.
It was so fun. Thank
Fun.
you so
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Hustle and Schmear. Liz and Noam, read us out.
Okay, everyone, as you all remember, the hustle is real.
And the schmear is extra.